So I'm currently building a bedside table and I want the legs for it to be tapered. I don't have a jig for it, so let's build one. So I have a scrap plywood, I have a bunch of toggle clamps, I think they're called toggle clamps, and other scraps in the shop. So let's see what we can come up with. Now, this is not a tutorial, this is me figuring things out, me learning to build a jig, because I haven't really built many jigs at all. First off, this is way too wide. So I've got one clean edge here and a splinter, nice. Let's just go over what I'm thinking. So I just cut this down slightly narrower. It's going to be a miter bar going through there, attached to this, so it slides like so. Once this is that is attached, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna cut this edge clean. So there's a zero clearance reference here. So got this piece of ash. I think might make a good miter slot, a miter bar. It's a tiny bit wider than this, so I'll just get a strip from this. How deep are these really? Something to put underneath here so it sticks up a tiny bit. Set it up against there, glue up on there, and then we'll fasten it with something. So I found these plastic plug things that work nicely to space this. So, like so. Super glue, fast activator thing. I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna put a healthy bead all the way. I'm gonna put some mechanical fasteners in too, but it doesn't hurt it being glued down pretty well. I'm just gonna spray this. See, and we align this like so. Yep. Let's put. While I was setting, I was looking for something to fasten this. It turns out I don't really have any screws that are short enough, but I found these nails. They're for roofing felt or something, I think, but they're just about the right size for this. Let's see. There we go. So I don't think it's gonna crack, but we'll see. That works. That works. Also, it doesn't really matter that the heads might protrude a little bit because there's plenty of clearance in the miter track or miter slot. Whoa, it just teleported away. I think that should be fine. And no protrusion. Now let's see. That works. This miter bar ended up being a tiny bit narrow, but there's a tiny bit of slop in this, but I think it's gonna be fine. Yeah. So now we have a zero clearance reference we can line up our pieces against. All right, next hurdle I was initially going to use. So I got interrupted yesterday, and that's a good thing because I made a design decision since. And I think that's going to make this jig a lot more usable. Initially, I was actually just going to screw down the fence at the angle I need for the taper, and I was just going to screw from the bottom or from the top and make it permanent, and you have to unscrew it to change the taper. But I realized I have this cheap featherboard set, and it came with a few different types of bolts. So these T-bolts are going to work pretty well, I think. If I make a kind of a groove here that this can protrude through, and like a recess at the bottom for the T-ball head to ride in, I can make it adjustable. So I can make it slide side to side, and I put one at the front and one at the back. Some knobs to tighten things down, and I have an adjustable taper. That is going to make this jig a lot more usable. Initially, I was just gonna drill 2 holes and maybe connect it with a jigsaw or a router and be happy with that. And that would probably work. But I think I can make a much cleaner cut. Since I have the domino, I could just put the 6mm bit in here, plunge it on the widest setting, maybe plunge it twice, and I'm gonna have a very nice groove for these bolts to ride in. So why don't we go ahead and do that. I was doing these cuts with the domino just basically freehand, and it was wandering a little bit. The first one ended up pretty well, but the second one ended up pretty jagged, and I ended up trying to fix it with the router, but that didn't really turn out really well. It would still be usable, my perfectionism got in the way, so I decided to do it again, and this time I clamped a board across it to use as a fence for the domino, so that made it a lot easier, and I got a clean, much cleaner cut with the domino. So after that, it's time to make a jig so I can make the jig. So I took this piece of particle board that I had found laying around, and I notched it out with the miter saw and then just smashed the rest of it away with a chisel. No need to be delicate here, it just needs to be roughly the correct size. And I glued on 2 pieces of 1/4" MDF as a guide for the router. So I just made it fit the router base so I could just slide it along there without going to the side. Clamping this down and hold fast, I can just do the cut on the bottom side as a relief for the bolt head. And with that done, it's time to make some holes for the fence. I can't just drill a single hole because you're not going to be able to put it in an angle. What I figured out, I could just use the domino again. The bolts are 6mm, and I decided to go with an 8mm domino cutter this time, and I just plunged from both sides. After that, I put the bolts on, put the T-bolts through and these knobs on, attaching it, and I also ended up attaching the toggle clamps. So, sorry you didn't get to see me screw 6 holes into this, but there's nothing really special about it. I just spaced them off the edge a tiny bit. Now the screws I'm using were a bit too thick for this, so they'd protrude into the plywood, which make it hard to move it around. So yeah, I just put the screws in at an angle. I think it is time to take it over to the bandsaw and make a test cut. So let's just invent a taper here. It's gonna start at 10 centimeters from this edge, and it's gonna run for 30 centimeters. I want to start full width, so this is about 2 inches. I just mark this line all the way across for both the start and end. And I want to go down to, let's say, 30mm over this end. Just loosen these slightly, push it back. Wherever this line that I marked here, where the taper starts, it should be right against the edge. So I'm gonna set this in 30mm, and then at this point we're touching. So now we can tighten this down so it stays. Like if it wants to slide around, I still have the possibility of just putting some what's it called? Sandpaper. Glue some sandpaper onto this. But yeah, no, that's not going anywhere. Just gonna extend this one even for more. So there we go. It's cut, so remove it. And we have, I lost my ruler. Yeah, it's the full width there, and it's the 30 millimeters over there. So yeah, that's the taper we were looking for. Nice. So, it worked pretty well, clamping the offcut on top of here, especially with the sandpaper. They look a bit funny right now because they're way oversized. It's gonna look better once they're cut to length. So yeah, I think that is an acceptable result. There are things I'd do differently, I think, if I did this again. I don't really have words for what those are right now, but if I ever get around to building a different version of this in the future, I'll make sure to think of what that is. Anyways, it works pretty well. I think that's good. I can use this for a lot of projects. That's this jig done, and 2 of the 4 legs cut. And hopefully that next video should be the full build video of this bedside table I'm building. So I'll see you guys then.